would like to introduce Lionel Ketchian. For those of you who may not have heard about Lionel, because I mention him, I think, every single meeting. He's kind of my mentor. The reason why I started this happiness club is because I was going to Lionel's happiness clubs, and I loved him. His clubs take place in Fairfield, but Lionel found or made the decision to be happy 20 years ago, and has been a happy person ever since. But he'll share that with you. But he also taught a course on happiness at Sacred Heart University, and they loved it. But Lionel ran a business and continues to have a business in the printing field, and so he really wasn't going to be able to keep teaching courses, but the people wouldn't let him stop. They loved the happiness, and he decided to make it a club, a once-a-month club like this. I started attending almost 6 years ago now, 5-6 years ago. Well, I started this one 5 years ago, so I started attending about 7 years ago and loved them, but it was just hard to get to Fairfield all the time, and I asked Lionel one night, can I do this? I want to do it too. And he was like, sure. So and the Madison Happiness Club was born, so I owe it all to Lionel. So Lionel?
Well, I'm going to start by thanking all of you for coming and thanking Tina for not wanting to drive all the way to Fairfield. There's a debate about how selfish people are when they're happy. Well, there's an example of what happens when you're selfish. Everybody benefits. So do the right thing for you and everyone benefits, right? So I just want to let you know that God can't make you happy. That's why I'm here. No. But the truth is, I am a professional speaker, and that's because I'm 66 years old, and I know that my fly is up, so I'm all set to get my talk. Those are the essential ingredients of being a speaker, especially when you're being taped. And by the way, we're going to be on cable, Madison Cable, our Happiness Club show, so you can catch that. There's about 100 episodes, and each one's a half-hour segment on some aspect of happiness. How many people would like to walk out of here tonight feeling and knowing that they're going to be happy for the rest of their lives? Yes? Yeah. I not only saw hands, I said, oh, wonderful. Okay, so this is it. You ready? Strap yourself in. We're going for a ride. I'm going to give a slightly different talk. Now, first of all, I guarantee you're all going to be very happy. I'll prove that to you right now. After you're here, my 4-hour talk. No, I'm kidding. See, I made you happy though, right? You know, it's expectations, but you know, it's going to be a little while. You know, I actually love giving my talks in prisons because it's 3 hours, the doors are locked, nobody can go anywhere. That's my favorite group, but I'll have to settle, you know. Now, I also like the fact that there's a lot of guys here. Thanks, guys, for coming out, because in the beginning, when I had Happiness Club meetings, there was a whole bunch of women and no guys. And my friend Dr. Bernie Siegel said to me one day, you know why more guys are coming? Because now happiness is scientific, so guys figure, it's okay, it's fine, it's not that mushy, emotional stuff that women, you know. So I used to walk around saying, God, women are so much smarter than guys. What's wrong with us? But now you're here. It's true that December 24th, 1990, I became happy, and I stayed that way. I really did. You know, it's probably the most intelligent thing I ever did. I was studying about how to live life. You know, how do you cope with it? How do you live with it? And I experienced, you know, having time off from work, having the holidays rolling in, good food, time off, and all that. You know, made me feel like I'm happy. But realizing that I'm happy was the big deal. You know, that realization. You know, when you realize you're full at a buffet, that's a realization. Same thing when you really feel that happiness. And then what I thought about was, how can I hold on to this? How can I not lose it? So with that became the journey of, you know, am I out of my mind? You know, my 20 years ago now, a little over 20 years ago, my family thought, hey, he might be a little over the edge now. They thought that before, but being happy no matter what, they thought might have been the whole enchilada, and I went a little too far into the bakery. So with that, I started to try to find out, what do other people think? Well, you know, who's talking? What have people said? Now, I've read a lot of books, but 20 years ago I started reading books by people who were happy, and there weren't a lot of them around back then. You know, my good friend Aristotle, who just recently wrote a whole bunch of books 2,600 years ago, he talked a lot about happiness, and he was brilliant. You know, I said, wow, this guy's as smart as I am with happiness, and you know, and some of the things he said is, happiness is the point of it all, the meaning and purpose of life. And I said, amen, that sounds right. And he would also say something that I began to understand, and he said that now get this one, this is a big one. Everything in life is a means to an end, except for one thing, and that's happiness, which is an end in itself. So what is he saying? He's saying that everything you do, and I can prove it to you, you do for one reason and one reason only, and it ain't the reason you think you're doing it for, it's for happiness. What's important to you? Just right now.
Family.
Why is family important to you? What does it make you feel? Happy. There it is. I'll go through that, and when I did this at Sacred Heart University, I had a blackboard that was almost the length of this room, and I filled it up with everybody's, what's most important to you? Family, God, money, security, love, you know, you're thinking those things, right? And when you boil it down, even if I have to beat it out of you, you're going to get the happiness. You really will. You'll say, yeah, the reason I want security is happiness. The reason I want my family is happiness. So if the reason you want anything is happiness, why haven't you been taking it with you? I mean, it's like the reason you want clothes is to wear them. So you don't say, you know, it's funny, but I've never come to a talk where somebody was completely nude. Everybody wears clothes. That's because you have the intention to wear clothes, you wanted the clothes, you wore them. Everybody wants happiness, but everybody's here without it. Not you guys, of course, but some people. So my thinking is, why aren't we putting on the clothes of happiness and then walking out the door? There's more and more research going on now that says, you want to be successful? You become happy. You want a good interview? You go happy, and you're going to get a better chance at the job. You almost have to develop an attitude of, I don't care if I get it or not, because in the end, there are some things that are out of my control and some things that aren't. I'm in my control. So what I do is control what I can and let go of the rest. Life is simple for me. Mary, I was talking to you when you walked in. You said, you know what life's all about, and you hit it on the head. About choice. It's true. But for me, it is true. And I can also say that happiness is a choice, except that that would be both true and false. Here's the false part of it. The false part of any choice. You all have a choice, right? Everybody agree?
Yeah.
But here's the thought. The thought is, you only have a choice about what you're aware of. If you're not aware you have a choice, you ain't got no choice, right? The trouble with a lot of unhappiness is people think they ain't got no choice. So guess what? They have no choice. So the choice is removed off the table. No more choice. So I thought about this, and I said, choice is important. I thought it was very important. Og Mandino in his book, Choices, taught me it was very important. I understood it for myself as well. But what I started to understand about happiness is this. Happiness is a decision. And we'll talk a little about that. What is a decision? Well, you've been surrounded by spiritual leaders that have been telling you that word in a different form. Let's see. Dr. Wayne Dyer, what does he say? The power of intention. What's intention? Is a decision to manifest what you want into your life. You will see, you won't see it when you believe it. It's when you believe it, you'll see it. So if you have a decision to be happy, you will, and the universe will bring that to you. The secret. First step of the secret, getting what you want, manifesting what you want. Be happy. You're reading Hicks.
Asking and is given.
Asking is given. With the
Hicks, yeah,
Hicks, and it's a big aspect with them for happiness. the power of intention, the power of drawing towards you what you want. The
law of attraction.
The law of attraction. Another important part is happiness. So happiness is, a lot of people have trouble with the word happiness. They say, what is that word? Is that like a cream puff? Is it a chocolate bar? I saw the chocolate bar. I saw them temporarily back then. But happiness is really emotional competence. It's really knowing you have full control of yourself. Now, we can't control the universe, but paradoxically, when we control ourselves, we in effect control everything. Because, why not take control why complain about things you have no control over? Why not take control of the things you really have? So the decision is something I want to talk with you about. If you don't make a decision to be happy for the rest of your life, you're never going to be happy. It's really that simple. I don't care how old you are. I've had people, in their 80s and 90s say, it really feels good to be happy. I like it, but I wish I did it earlier. I said, it doesn't matter. You're happy now. How do we know who's walking out of here, especially with the way people drive these days, and not making it home? I mean, I know we're laughing about it, but the truth is we live in a world of uncertainty. So happiness is really the one certainty we can count on. In fact, one of the primary reasons we're not happy is we don't have the certitude that we could be happy. So all you need is a realization that you can be. I'm not Roger Bannister that ran the, under 4-minute mile, but if I've been happy and gone through all the things I've been through, and I'm sure all of you have gone through a few things yourself, it's possible. A lot of people don't think it's possible, but it's possible, because I'm not lying to you. So what I want to do tonight is do something a little bit differently. I want to point something out, because I don't like to, I took this was my vitamin pack. It was. I had a bunch of vitamins in it. And I had salad and vitamins before the meeting. So I wanted to throw this away, and I forgot. So it's here in my, pocket, and it unfolded, and I thought I'd take it out, put it on the table. But instead of just like passing that off, it's okay, what did I do? I'm letting you all know. I did something that I didn't plan on. At 66, I do a lot of things like that. But it doesn't matter anymore. I wanted to bring business cards for you. I forgot. But I have a website. So it is about choices. So I'm always knowing that anything that happens is okay. Now, Eckhart Tolle, Power Now, some of you like him? I love him. I love Eckhart Tolle. And he says, and this makes sense to me, and I think acceptance is such a big thing. Okay, I forgot to put this away. What does that make me? It makes me a happy person that forgot to put this away. It doesn't make me anything, right? And the reason I'm really talking about this is because to talk about nothing, or to talk about your insecurities or the things you wish you didn't do, is to really be powerful. The best way to really talk about a mistake is to turn it into into an example for people. So life doesn't go exactly the way you want. Guess what? Accepting it makes it go exactly the way you want. I love having this with me now. I wish I could remember to do this every single time. So that's the way it works. But Eckhart Tolle will say, when you don't accept something, it's like spilt milk. The milk is spilt. You could yell at the kid, you could yell at yourself, you can call yourself a jerk, you can do anything you want, but nothing can change the fact that it's spilt. So here's a big news flash about reality. It happened already. By the time you're complaining about it, it's done. It's over. You're just commenting and making yourself miserable about something you've got no power to change whatsoever. And that's about almost everything. So for me, I choose the path of looking at where my power is. What is happiness for me, and what I think it really is about power. And we'll talk about this. But happiness isn't just about power. Happiness is not giving your power away. Okay? Yep. Not giving your power away to anything. Now, something could take my power, if I give it up. People could annoy me if I give it up. But one of the things that really did make me become happy was I used to think about, well, you know, I'm a pretty happy guy most of the time, like 97% before 1990. The thing that would get me, the little thing that would get me, was everybody in the world. They would drive me nuts. And I'd say, well, I really have it all figured out except for my, you know, encounters with certain people. Not everybody. Of course, nobody in this group. But I said, how do I deal with that? And when I started to realize I don't have to deal with anybody but me, it became easy. That was the answer. I didn't have to deal with anything or anyone. Anytime I have a problem, I just go into myself. I don't have my coat on. That's fine. It's warm in here. I had a choice. I could take my shirt off. I could, but I have my Superman shirt on. I took my jacket off. It's a choice. You know what? You know, happiness is the absolute opposite of victimhood. So you can either live in happiness and power, or you can live in fear and victimhood. And it really is a law of spirituality. There's a book that I have about 20 books. I have 20 books that I consider really, really good books on my website, happinessclub.com. One of those books, by the way, is on there, and it's a 60-page download for free. I'm not Jewish. I mention that because the best book I have ever read on happiness is Gateway to Happiness by Rabbi Pliskin. And it's on my 60-page download. It's free on our website. It is a wonderful, wonderful book. Really, really worth reading. But along with Gateway to Happiness, I have this book, which is out of print, Principles and Philosophy of the Option Method by Bruce DeMarsico. Bruce died in 1995. I consider him the Aristotle of happiness of our time. I've been talking to his wife, Deborah Mendel, in California, and they're coming out with another revised book, which I wholeheartedly, recommend when it comes out. I want to go over some of this book with you, and for that, I'm going to grab the new manuscript that they sent me, because I was, editing it, and I might end up writing the forward if everybody thinks it's a good idea, because I think this man had it right. Now, what I usually talk about when I speak is about happiness, and I am going to talk about happiness very, very precisely, but I'm going to approach it from a different angle. Instead of talking about happiness, and then people say, "Oh, Lionel, he's happy. Look at the tie. He's a happy guy. He can handle, he can handle something, a stage prop not going right. I can't do that, so I can never be as happy as him." So I'm going to handle it from the unhappiness end, because Bruce really understood unhappiness, because Bruce felt that happiness was a purely natural state that we're in. And he's right, because I'm not in this state because I'm working hard at it. I'm in this state because why else, it'd be like saying to a millionaire, "Listen, have you ever made the choice to be absolutely poor and and be homeless?" I don't know about that. I mean, I don't mind helping, but I don't know if I want to make that choice. That's me. People say, "How could you be happy all the time?" Well, let's see. I don't think I want to be homeless, poor, destitute, and affect my health. Because for one big problem I have is that science now says that I'm going to live 8 years longer by being happy. That's a problem. And it could be your problem too. But think about one thing. You're here getting happier and maybe living longer and extending your life. And there are people that are running in gyms, eating celery stalks, watching their weight, running and everything else. And you're here just gaining all that time. So there's a lot of advantages to happiness. It affects your health. I did a PBS special with Dr. Marty Siegel. You're probably not going to get cancer if you have happiness. I know it's not the right thing to say, but the hell with it, I'll say it. Happiness works. And you know what? You'll fight it better with happiness. Believe me, I know a lot of people with cancer. But let's go into the book. I want to share this with you because I think this is going to be fascinating. I'm going to start with something a little radical and get your feedback on it. Okay. You ready? Seatbelts on? This is Bruce DeMarsico, but I agree with him. And we'll prove it together, or we'll argue it together. How's that? I don't normally allow this, but you're welcome to join in. But just hear a little bit of it first. Unhappiness doesn't exist. It's pretty radical, right? All right, now I know. You're all thinking, okay, so far we liked him, now we think he's out of his mind. Okay. The cause of unhappiness is a belief. Or you could also say is a decision, because I looked up his word belief, and he said that you could substitute judgment for belief, and if you could substitute judgment for belief, then you could substitute decision for judgment, because I looked up the word judgment, and oh, that's okay, because at a happiness club, no, let me explain something to you. It's like, see, you're like a prop, you're part of the You went off perfectly on cue. Without you, this would have never been as perfect. No, I'm serious. At our happiness club meetings, we have a rule. Being late, phones going off, we love that, because that's what is. And when you accept what is, you can never be unhappy. So, that's part of, at any other meeting you're in, they ask you to leave, Phone went off. Oh, you're human. Oh, humans aren't allowed here. They gotta go to the happiness club. So anyway, the ability to judge is the ability to make a decision. And here's another one. The decision, when I looked that up, a judgment, as one formally pronounced by a court, the act or process of deciding determination as a question or doubt by making a judgment. So judgment and decision are the same thing. Now, the reason you can be unhappy, and the only reason you can be unhappy, radical, listen, I know what you're thinking, the only reason you can be unhappy, there could be people in the room, I've met many people that have told me what the worst thing in the world is, losing their child and everything else in between. I've heard it all, and and they've agreed with this in the end. The only reason you could be unhappy is because you make a judgment about something. It's not about the thing. So you end up being unhappy about your judgment of the thing and not the thing itself. Let's go into that. You get it. Here's what Bruce says. It is a little radical. Unhappiness doesn't exist in any way. It's a description of a phenomena. It is an explanatory principle. There is no such thing as unhappiness. People have believed there was. There is nothing, absolutely nothing, to cause unhappiness. Since there is no unhappiness and never can be, no one has to be afraid of anything. Nothing that happens can bring about unhappiness. There are many symptoms of people who have believed in unhappiness. No symptoms of unhappiness exist, but symptoms of the belief in it have. So the problem here is that what mankind suffers from is the belief in the belief about unhappiness. In other words, the reality that we portray to ourselves is the reality we get to live in, not the real reality. And let me give you another example of how that's true. In Bruce's book, he goes into a diagram here that's pretty interesting. It's about, again, the event, something happens, the belief about the event, and then there are three responses. Let's give you an illustration. It's the end of the year. It's June, the end of June. So some parents have kids going away to college. Yes.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. So here's a scenario. You got the event. The daughter's going away to college, right? Okay, now the mother, we're going to pick on the mother here. The mother says, oh my God, my baby's going away. How am I going to handle it, right? Sad. It's sad. Makes her unhappy. Yes? Okay, is it true? Yes? Okay.
No, I say yes.
Oh, you say yes. All right, so the husband, all right. In this case, it's the mother. Okay, so the mother's unhappy. The husband says, yes, finally. But he also says, you know what? It'll be good for her. She'll grow up. She'll get an education. hopefully I'll get my money's worth, right? That's what he's saying. So he's saying yes. Now, a bystander who's going by, who doesn't know anybody, he doesn't care at all. It doesn't affect him in the least. Same event, 3 different responses. Good, bad, and neither. You know what that means? That means the event doesn't register at all. It's how you register the event. So isn't that interesting? And that's the proof that the event, it's not that it doesn't count, but what really counts is your response. Now, you know, Bruce didn't actually say this first. Another very, very good friend of mine, he was born a few years back. He was born around the year 0, Jesus' time. And his name was Epictetus. And Epictetus was a Greek slave who became a philosopher. And he said something that I think was so profound. And he said, it's not what happens, it's how you react to what happens. That's everything. That's what I found out. It's everything. You know, the day I thought I was really gone, really insane, was the day I said, you know, I'm happy. And I had some problems that would come up. Let me tell you, when you become happy, the first way to know it is you'll have plenty of problems coming at you. That's how you know you're alive, kicking, and you're not dead. Because as long as you're alive, you're going to have problems. You know, there's crossword puzzles, there's problems you make, when you go into business, you create them. Problems are problems. It's how you look at them. So one day I said to myself, I'm going to treat this problem a little differently. And I'm going to be happy. Not that I have a problem. I'm not going to be, yay, I got a big problem. No, I'm not going to lose my happiness. I'm going to maintain my happiness, and I'm going to address the problem. So I'm not going to look at the problem and let it make me unhappy. I'm not going to give my power away, right? Got that? Okay. So what happened? I looked at the problem. I didn't say, oh shit, why me? Call somebody up, hey, how about a drink? What did you hear what I'm going through? You know, none of that. I just said, okay, I got a problem. What do you need to solve problems? Solutions. Ah, brilliant. We have an Einstein here. Yes, solutions solve problems. Drinks don't solve them. Victimization of yourself. Feeling depressed, suicidal, they don't solve the problem. Just solutions. So I was very big into choices. Mary, choices. You're right. And I said to myself, what choices have I got regarding this problem? In a clear, mindful state of mind. Happy, I call it. But it was, you know, it was a higher mental faculty that I had going for me. And I said, okay, I got a couple of solutions. I'm going to choose this one. This is my choice for now. And guess what? I instantly felt better. Was it the best solution in the world, the best choice I could have ever made? No. But it was a choice that relieved me of concerning myself about what's next. No more problem. Next problem. And there is next problems. Life is full of problems. But when you get good at solving them, it's fun. It really is. So that's how I looked at it. And what happened is Bruce really teaches us that this is the way it goes. Now, again, I'm going to go slow because I really want to treat what Bruce is saying and pass it on to you because I think there's a lot of wisdom in this thing. All emotions come from judgments. So when we say we get emotionally, involved or become unhappy, and the world at large operates on a different basis, that unwanted emotions are caused by events, and therefore happiness is only possible by controlling events. When I became happy, I gave up controlling anything and everything, and I gained control of everything that could have ever meant anything to me for the rest of my life. Mostly my happiness. And my happiness precedes me. It sort of, goes. I have another rule that, that coming in, I don't want to put them on the spot. But there's a real rule in our happiness club, is that there is no such thing as coming in late. And when I've told people that, some people have come in 5 minutes before the end of a 2-hour talk. And I think it's wonderful because you never know what you get in that 5 minutes. So, you know what? Here's another one. You know why we have problems in our life? Because we have too many darn rules. We have so many rules, I don't think we can remember anything anymore anyway. So now that I'm 66, it's not that I'm forgetting, it's just too much to remember anyhow. So, anyway, so people are very strongly motivated to change and control their environment and people, correct? Anybody love being controlled here? Told what to do? Anybody ever get divorced because of that? Okay. It's a key figure that looms large in divorce. Now, nobody likes being controlled, but nobody likes to control themselves, it seems. We don't mind controlling others. That's okay. You know, you should do this. You know, I would do it this way. When we control ourselves, somehow we have control of the other person, because especially when we don't really care what they're going to do, they probably might come around to doing it your way if your way makes sense. I'm glad to see you doing that, because I'm pretty warm myself. Now that's the feedback I need to say, okay, it isn't just me. Anybody else warm?
Yeah.
Perfect. You know what I found about this world? We're all in it together. And the more we accept that, the better off you are. I want to throw another one out to you that happiness has given me. Love. I'll say something a little radical, especially for a guy. I love you. I love all of you, each and every one of you. The guys, too. Sorry, guys. I apologize. In the beginning, it felt very strange for me to say that. But now I realize that I'm not saying I'm falling in love with you. I'm saying I'm rising in love with you, because I love spreading happiness. It makes me feel very loving and very happy. And so it's just an aspect of my happiness. Bruce is going to talk about that, so I thought I'd bring that up. So power, we're back to power. We've been getting power, and if you notice, the world's been trying to get power, look at Greece, by controlling outside events. You know, the police lob the tear gas cartridge at the crowd kicks the tear gas cartridge. Police, it's ping pong with tear gas, but it's a game. Not a good game, but it's the game we know. We're trying to control events, people, situations. We're not controlling ourselves. And that's the one thing we really, if you really want to change the world, where do you go? Who do you change? Yourself. You know, Gandhi said, be the change you want to see. And that's where it comes down to, is we can be that change. I think, personally, that happiness is a very high spiritual path. And you know, the other guy besides Aristotle that impressed me was the Dalai Lama. You know, 20 years ago when I read it. You know, when he said that, I read in a magazine or something, I said, wow. He said, happiness is more important than my religion. I said, no, that's pretty interesting. And he meant it, you know, because I read a lot about him, and he would say, happiness is the most important thing there is. I said, wow, that's a pretty, that's quite a statement for a religious leader to make that's the head of Buddhism, you know, to talk about happiness so much. What people actually need to be happy is the confidence that their happiness cannot be threatened, and therefore they do not need to fear the helpless feeling that their happiness will be taken away. In truth, people's happiness is not threatened in any physical, material, or involuntary way. Our happiness is merely believed to be threatened. What we call unhappiness is our belief that we can't be happy. Now, for me, the other thing I did on the blackboard at Sacred Heart University is I was showing people my level of happiness. And you know, when you think of being happy, you think of, wow, happy, right? You think of that, right? Yeah. But it's not what I experienced. So I took a piece of chalk and I walked across one straight line, all the way down to the end. And I said, okay, that straight line all the way down, that's my level of happiness. Because if you're doing this, what comes next? Down. And then when you're down, what comes next? You know what that's called? That's not happy, that's addiction. Isn't that something that people have a problem with? A little? Addiction, yeah. Because you could be addicted to wanting to be happy because you're not happy. So you either got the real thing or you got the thing to go after. You know? And even if you're getting it, it ain't worth it because you're gonna, what goes up goes down. But when it's level, there's a number of things that I have working for me. What I showed you is the beginning of the day. Maybe we're here at the day. I'm talking about myself. but I already know what the end of the day will be for me, and I know what tomorrow morning will be. And that's because it's not about what I'm going to experience. If I get up tomorrow and it rains, what am I going to be? Happy or unhappy? And if I get up and it's sunny, what happens? And if I get up and Greece collapsed, hate to see it, but what do I do about those things? You know, what do you do about the things you have absolutely no control over? Say, oh, this is terrible, you know, right? So that's the point. But again, it's about power. We give away our power, or we try to control others so that we have power. We need power, but we don't realize the power we have is really within us, and it's there. Now let me stop for a minute and get a little feedback from you and see if you're running along the train, or you might have jumped in. I don't know where you are, so you can help me. What's your thoughts? Yes.
What about when someone does die, someone extremely close to you? Isn't it natural to feel sadness and to miss that person? And how do you choose happiness over an event like that?
Okay. I can speak, for myself. I know when I was happy the whole time, there was within a couple of years that I became happy. I think it was in 1990 I was happy. I think it was 92 my father died. So I experienced it. I said to myself, boy, I really invested a lot in this happiness. Now I have this, So I thought, well, I'm not happy he died, because my father and I were good friends. I loved him. I knew he loved me. I was there for him. So what I started thinking was this is my sense of it, that you know what, I can be happy in the moment, because the moment will change. I don't have to be happy with the moment, but in the moment I can maintain my happiness. This is a great question you brought up. So I maintained my happiness, and it brought me through that time. And it was the best for me and the best for my family, and it worked out well. Here's the thing. It's like when you have pain from an operation and they say, hey, take these drugs, you may need them. And you go, all right, I'll take a couple. And you take a couple more. And then you take a few more and you go, hey doc, you got more of these? And then all of a sudden, you're way down here. You're no longer, the surgery was 3 years ago, and you're on drugs. And the problem is when you let go, now I'm not saying you shouldn't grieve. I say decide what you want. But I am saying that grieving and loving are not exactly the same thing. You could love somebody, you could accept things, but it all depends on your spiritual alignment, your religious, it's a very involved answer to a very, simple question. But let me give you another answer that I think is very appropriate, whether or not it answers your question. I was starting to realize that I had this happiness thing going, and it was really working for me. And I remember what I was doing. At the time, I was driving into New York, and I said, for me to become unhappy now is equivalent to rolling down the windows or pushing the power button on my car while I'm on the highway, taking my wallet, taking all the money out of it, throwing it out of the window, and go, there, take that. Like, take that life. I don't like what you're doing to me. It's crazy, right? You see a guy throw all his money away? So what I thought about is, I'm not going to do that. And for me, my happiness was what I would call currency. And Tal Ben-Shahar, professor at Harvard, in his book, Happier, has called it currency. It's a real currency. It's something. See, it's almost like me coming here and telling you, those green papers in your wallets and everything that everybody gets at the end of the week, and you get government checks, and keep that. You can buy groceries with it. It's really, don't throw it away, don't burn it. It's something, it's valuable. So money is a currency. It's valuable. It has a use, but we don't know what the value is. We haven't experienced it. Yes, sir, you were going to say something?
What I was going to say is what you said before, and that is that it's not what happens to you that's important, it's how you handle it. And all love affairs, the Dalai Lama said, end in sadness. Marriages end because one spouse dies, or divorce, or abandonment. Children die, parents die, and so death is a part of reality.
Yes.
And so it's about acceptance. It's the key is acceptance.
Exactly. And I do a lot of work with a psychiatrist in Greenwich. We've teamed up. And, you know, I don't have any degrees. He's a Harvard graduate, but he never learned about happiness. He's 74. And he said to me that what he thinks I talk about now, what he's come to realize in the word happiness, it's about dealing with reality. That's what this is about. Ma'am, I'll take you next, and his hand was up for you, sir.
Oh, yeah, no. Well, I just want to ask a situation like, because you talk about giving up control and everything. I mean, I can see it in me, but I just maybe you can give me some pointers how to control. Like at work, where I work, what happened was because of the blizzard that took place in the wintertime, business was off. We made sales plan ourselves. However, they decided to cut, the upper echelons of management decided to cut back on labor all through the district. And right now, well, they say that you'll feel a little pinch, and the labor will turn out to be a stranglehold because right now, because of less labor, we're doing more work. And then we're required to do more work than our actual job. So I mean, I'm taking on more responsibilities than I can actually handle.
Right.
And such as today, a guy who was supposed, I mean, I just lost 2 guys in my department. They didn't replace them. Well, they did replace them, but they replaced them after the guys left instead. And right now they're in training. Right in this particular day, the guy who was supposed to be helping me showed up an hour late, and I didn't even have a chance to touch my normal work schedule, and my normal work, and it's just piling up.
Okay.
And I'm pretty much, as my girlfriend would say, lost my mind. I was ready to jump off a cliff.
Okay.
Yeah.
So let me ask you, if you I hear what you said.
Yeah.
You're overwhelmed. They're expecting
exactly,
more from
right.
you than you really can humanly deliver. But if you were to put that in a question to me, what would be the question?
How do I handle it?
Okay, good. That's good.
Yeah.
Do you really want the answer to that?
Yes. Yeah. Really.
The way to handle it is to handle you.
Yeah.
Now, handling you handling you, how about a pointer or two that might make you feel like you can reframe this and maybe handle it better? That sound good?
Sounds good.
I call them power tools.
Okay, sounds
It's
good.
like I'm gonna wind them up and you're gonna go, wow, listen to that, listen to that thing rip. And one power tool is being grateful you got a job.
Yeah, I know, that's all.
There's a power tool for you, right? There's a lot of people who are saying, gee, I wish I had your damn problem, because I used to complain about it once too.
Yeah.
What do you think of that?
Oh, no, believe me, I'm happy to have a job, like right now, I obviously can't afford to lose it, because I've been there 18 years, but,
So let me ask you a question. What if you stopped complaining about it and did the best you could?
My concern is because I've had problems like that before, where all of a sudden I get ready to the office, oh, your work is not getting done, and you say, look, well, you give me this, you give me that, you give me this, you give me that, and instead I get a performance improvement.
I got you. So let me ask you a question. If you're concerned with it to the degree that you're upset, do you really think your upset and unhappiness is going to show up well on your work performance, or just accepting you're going to do the best you can might do better for you? What do you think?
Oh, well, probably accepting doing better.
Which way do you think you'll have less stress and be happier?
Oh, well, the opposite later is just accepting it. Like, okay, I can't.
What choice would you like? Would you like me to poke your eye out, or would you like to, accept what you got to deal with?
Well, of course, accept what I got to deal with.
But I mean, see, it's pretty easy then.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
See, here's the difference. The difference is you'd like to see different things better. In fact, he gets into it in his book. It's okay to want anything you want, but it's not okay to need it.
Yes.
Because once you need it, you're trapped.
Right.
Life will kill you. It'll happen in relationships. So when you give up need, you can have anything you want. You may not get it right now, but you gotta have the wisdom to wait. But if you're gonna deal with need, you're gonna get crushed.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So don't be needy, and then you could be happy.
All right.
But it's okay to want what you want.
Right.
Now maybe things. Now here's another thing. I'm almost going to say it could even be a miracle. By becoming happier, how do you know you don't affect something in your relationship there with the people, that somebody steps up and does more work for you and stuff? You don't know how doing the right thing for you might not end up being the best thing for you in the end anyway. You see what I'm saying?
Yes.
Yeah. So don't go against yourself is what I'm trying to help you with. What do you think?
Sounds good. I mean, it's, of course, I mean, it's
Well, because let me ask you this.
Yeah.
How has this been working for you so far?
It hasn't been. It just makes me more miserable. And she can attest, it just makes me more and more miserable.
Actually, I have, Dr. Phil he's got a little ear, I got him plugged in, so he's answering all the questions.
Oh, yeah.
I hear women don't particularly like him too much.
No.
No?
I like that question.
Well, anyway. Yes, ma'am. Yes.
Going along with what you said, it's been my experience that what people long for the most causes the greatest suffering. And when we in fact can stop longing for things that are unattainable, then that's where the acceptance comes. And for me, happiness is serenity and a centeredness that there's so much pain and longing, that longing for a different work situation, longing for, and for me, it's really, when you give up that longing, it ends the suffering, and that's where the acceptance comes.
Yeah, that's wonderful. When I first sort of discovered happiness, I said, wow, this could really work. It can work in Africa. It can work anywhere. People are people. A smile is a universal language. I have a happiness club facility. We have 2 happiness clubs in France. One of them, Helen Laporte, wants to do a movie, and she asked me if I'd come to France, and she paid the expenses to go. And what do you think I would say? Oh, you twisted my arm, you made me. I mean, I really don't want to go, but no. So I said, sure, I'd love to. And she's trying to raise money, and she's trying to get Deepak Chopra in this movie. And who knows what's going to happen? But here's the thing: she keeps telling me, "Please forgive my English," in the emails. And I go, "Listen, don't worry about your English. I can't speak any French. I don't, so what are you worried about?" But I said, what I wrote to her about was, happiness is the common language of love. One smile from anyone, and all people know where you're coming from. It's human communication at its finest. So ultimately, I think happiness, you seem like a spiritual person to me.
I am.
Yeah.
I'm
You
blessed. I feel incredibly
You do yoga?
blessed. Pardon?
Yoga?
No, I'm a therapist. A social worker.
Oh, a social worker. My daughter's a social worker. Okay. So you need to be happy.
Absolutely. Hold the hope
Just
for
an
others.
inside joke. Just an inside joke. But the truth is that I think happiness is peace. And because when you're happy, you want to do good. But people want to do good don't always keep doing good because they become unhappy and they go, that son of a gun, and I'm not going to do anything for that person anymore. So they stop doing good. But you can't do that to a happy person. Is just going to keep on going and probably convert the people that are antagonists. So the only other part that I want to sort of blend into this, and what I'm saying is that when I realized happiness is pretty darn important and the world could really use it 20 years ago, and look at where we are today, not because of me, maybe because of people like Tina and others like her, but the fact is the world's changed. But if I went to bed every night, it's okay for me to go to bed saying, I want the world to be happier. That's fine. But if I went to bed saying, I need the world to be happier or I won't be happy, then I've lost it all. So my primary mission in life is to be happy. And the world can do whatever it wants. I think if I prove my point by being happy, I prove it better to the world than trying to convince the world to be happy. The world, actually in the end, you can choose to be happy or unhappy, but I think all I want you to do is to know you have a choice. And there are many people who said to me, I didn't know I had a choice. And once you're aware you have that choice, you become powerful. And then what choice are you going to make? So you don't want to go against yourself because that's what unhappiness can do. And I think that's true because you're not, I hate to put it this way, but when you're not happy, you're not fully rational, you're not fully competent in making the best decisions for yourself or being seen in the best light by others. It's almost like your bosses will start, what's your first name?
Glenn.
Glenn. Oh, my son's name is Glenn. One N, G-L-E-N?
2 N's.
2 N's. Oh, he's completely different. He's only got 1 N.
Oh, yeah.
I thought we had so much in common there. See, that's the trouble with the world. Everything's got to be sized up and put in cubby holes, right? So they're going to wonder what Glenn's up to when he's smiling and happy. They go, hey, we can't lose this guy because at least one person in the company looks like he knows what he's doing. Everybody else is complaining. So you become an asset that way. Were there any other thoughts, questions? Yes?
Back to the woman who first was talking about grief. And I just think that the big question is how you define happiness is really important. And if you're dealing with a profound kind of a loss, I think that if you sort of don't go through the process of feeling grief, then you're not
then it's just I'm being happy, but I'm in denial kind of happy. And I think that, again, the definition is really important because you can feel really deep sadness and powerful feelings of sadness, and in a sense, there's a feeling of happiness
Absolutely.
is, in a strange way, like
You
the
could feel
depth
both.
of feeling
Yes.
makes you realize the gifts and the positive things that are coming out of the incredible sadness. But if you just pretend, I'm just gonna be happy and I'm not gonna really process.
I agree.
And I think process is a big part of that. If you don't process what you've been through, then,
Are
just,
you a therapist too?
no. But I've had some profound losses, so I.
Okay, I hear you. Now, first of all, just to answer one of you, that my definition of happiness is an inner state of well-being, just that simple, that pretty much builds on a lot of things. Spiritual values, all intelligence, all kinds of things, really. It's on the front of my website. I don't even remember everything I had to say about that, but it's really an inner state of well-being. But the trick here is about, as the gentleman in the back talked about with Buddhism, is acceptance. I mean, let's remember the spilt milk. We can cry about it all you want, it's fine with me. It's still spilt, and it's not going back in the bottle. Unless you want to take a sponge off the dirty floor. Life goes on, things change. We can't, you see, we could fight that, or you can go along with it, I like to row my boat gently down the stream. I don't want to frantically, try to motor it upriver until I drop dead of exhaustion. It just, I tried that, it doesn't work. Yes, ma'am?
Looking for a power tool, I'm new at this. When something happens, and I feel the event, and I can feel I'm making judgments on what this person is doing or whatever, can you give me a power tool to get myself not working against my own, I like that term, I'm working against my own
Yourself.
self-interest. Yeah, so how to stop that.
Okay, now here's
Continuing.
one. Yeah, I don't need to know the particular, but when we make a judgment, like for example, I could say it's warm in here. We're gonna. But back to we were saying that the room is warm. Now if I say, God damn, this room is warm. I can't take it. Tina, this room is hot.
Sorry.
It's supposed to be a happiness club. Like, I'm supposed to tell you all about being happy, and I'm boiling up here. That's a judgment. That's a decision that I can't take. Now, an observation would be, it's warm. Anybody else warm? People said they're warm. That's an observation. One is we're making ourselves miserable over reality. The other is it's reality. Yes. Bob?
We talk about situations and accepting them, all these external factors, but we talk a little bit about self-acceptance, about deserving to be happy.
Thank you.
How about that? I mean, do
Thank
any
you,
of us
thank
let
you.
ourselves up for air to say we deserve to be happy?
Thank
And
you.
I think that is an issue.
That is the essence. Could we do this honestly? Would you be honest with yourself and me? Nobody's going to be looking at you. They're just going to be looking up here. How many people feel they deserve to be happy?
Transition.
Qualifications. Okay.
Mid-transition.
So that's, psychologists have said that's the essence of the problem, is we don't think we deserve to be happy. And, for me, it was easy not to go through the do I deserve to be happy process. I found out, here's where I went with the happiness. I went, does my family deserve for me to be happy? Thank you for the ahs. You don't know what that means to me.
Yeah.
I love the ahs. It's really great. It's like throwing money at something.
The challenge is, particularly in our American society, is that I will be happy when I win the lottery.
Yes.
I'll be happy when the girl of my dreams comes along. I'll be happy when my son gets into West Point. I'll be happy when my family comes back together. All these outside things. And Abraham Lincoln said happiness is an inside job. Most people are about as happy as they make up their minds
to be. Absolutely. Exactly right. Yes, sir.
Is it possible to be happy if you're lonely?
Yes. Well, wait a minute, let's go back to judgment.
I heard,
Yeah.
I was watching a movie the other day.
Oh, okay.
And it says, you can't be happy if you're lonely. And I thought, well, that's probably true.
Okay, so here's the thing. Again, I'm going to go back to Eckhart Tolle for a moment. And I think he even said this, but I know I used it for one of our happiness clubs that wanted to start a 55-year-old singles and over club. And it's been running for about 6 years, like your club. Smiling Single Seniors in Westport, Connecticut. And when Stacy Enyart approached me to start the club, he says, I like to call it the Loneliness Club. Gee, Stacy, that doesn't sound too bad. I said, how about calling it the Singles? She goes, same word, right? Same meaning, right? So, single is an observation. Lonely is a judgment. Now, you know where all our, now, this whole thing with judgment is very, very important and very big. You know, if you remember nothing else, Eckhart Tolle will say to you that most of our, he says, all your problems would be solved if you just give up thinking. Now, for Americans, that's about as easy to do as give up drinking. You might even hear him say, give up drinking? You know, no, thinking. Oh, okay, same thing. So, what he's really saying is that we make stories out of things. Now, being lonely is a story, and when you meet somebody, they go, hi, my name is Lionel. I've been divorced for 3 years, had cancer of the head for 7 years. My dog died, my cat died, my parakeet died. You know, otherwise, I've been pretty miserable. Even before that. So it's a whole story. Now, here's another funny thing that Bruce says, is all stories are not about now. All stories are about the past. So I'm going to tell you something very fresh right now. Something nobody has ever heard me say. Okay, you ready? I'm happy now. No other group in history has heard me say those words now. Because now I meant it. But I meant it all along. And you know, it's not that I've been happy for over 20 years. I've been happy in each moment. Now, when I'm happy in this moment, watch this. I'm happy in this moment, right? Happy in this moment, right? Happy in this moment. What's happening? Am I setting up myself for being happy? Because every moment that comes along, and here's the other funny thing that I can't even explain. As I've been happy in each moment, it seems to bring the next moment with absolute freshness and power that I could experience. And I trust that even the bad crap is going to be fine because I'm going to learn from it. So it doesn't matter what's happening to me, it matters how I'm perceiving what I've got to do with it. So, you know, I was in Pennsylvania with my wife. So when you're walking around the roads in Pennsylvania, you just watch where you walk more. Because the horses go down the, you know, up and down the trail. Right? So it's life is not full of shit. Maybe we are, but life is just, there's some shit in the world, and, you know, and we don't have to, step in it. Yeah. I can tell you another story about that too, but were there any other yes?
You may have answered this, but I'm sorry, I wasn't here. Pain. If you're in pain, how about happiness?
Okay, I'll give you my $20 answer for that. Okay. My answer for that is yes, there is pain. Oh, that hurt. That's pain, right? Now, that was pain. No more pain. If I start telling you, you know, that really, really hurt, that's suffering. Pain is pain, part of life, right? Suffering is holding on to the pain and not emotionally letting go of it, which is a choice we can make.
Well, medically, let's say we've got some issue, and it's painful to stand on your foot,
Yes.
as an example.
Yes.
And every step you take is painful. So how do you get that out of your head?
You know, it's not easy, but the funny thing is I just came from a meeting today at Dr. Tamarin's house, a psychiatrist, and every Wednesday he had a pain group, and people with severe pain come to it, and we talk about these kinds of things. When you get into pain, one thing that Dr. Tamarin says, and everybody in the pain group now says, is that when they're happy, their pain is much, much more manageable. And controlling and managing ourselves is still the essence of it all. So, you know, we can suffer, we can say we're suffering, we can tell everybody how bad it is, but in the end, does that really help us with our pain? Only we can help ourselves. Acceptance is another great power tool for pain. Sometimes you just got to take it. You want one more? I'll give you another quick one. Actually, Viktor Frankl came up with this, and he's a genius. His book is on my 20 best books, Man's Search for Meaning. Viktor Frankl said that if you find meaning for pain, you could transform pain. What that means is that if you find a reason that, you know, for example, being happy for me is great. There are things that come along in my life that I could probably choose to be unhappy about if I chose to. But I not only don't want to choose unhappiness because I love being happy, but I got another reason too, even if it's a painful thing. So you know what? By not choosing to succumb to unhappiness and feeling helpless, hopeless, I elevate all of the world, all of society, by maintaining my best composure. So it's a gift I can give the world, not just myself. So I can choose a higher standard for myself, knowing that I'm also doing it for everyone else. As Viktor Frankl did in his book, he chose an unbelievable point, which actually brings me to another thing of forgiveness. You know, he was in a concentration camp. He was a psychiatrist, Third Viennese School of Logotherapy. But forgiveness is essential, I think, to happiness and survival. And the crap story, I'll tell you one. Forgiveness is like a kid when he's 12 years old, walking through Central Park or a park up here in Madison, and stepping in a pile of dog poop, and getting so mad that the owner didn't clean up the dog poop. Like, that's not right. You know, like, look what he did, look what he did. It was my white sneakers. Look, I got a whole glob of this stuff, and it was runny, you know, and stinky. And so what does he do? He's prepared. He gets a rag, scoops up all the dog poop, cleans off his shoe, wraps it up, puts it in. Look. See, even I didn't know why I had it. That's why life will always show you what you're doing, even if you don't know what the hell it is. He puts it in his plastic bag, which I most properly prepared for here. I'm making this up, but I couldn't do better if I tried. So anyway, he puts it in his pack. Now, it's not just a little bag. He's got a big one, super size, you know. And guess what? All the years of his life, he walks in more dog, horses, you know, cows. He just finds himself in the wrong places. And he collects all this stuff, right?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. And first of all, you see this guy with a pack, and the thing is really heavy. You know, he's walking through life, and he comes up to somebody and says, "Hey, wait till I tell you what happened to me." Wait a minute. So, do you know what happened to me when I was 12? Look at this. Look what I stepped in. Huh? Smell that. It still stinks. Now, the problem with forgiveness is you don't let yourself off the hook. You're not letting the other person off the hook. You're not letting yourself. So you carry all that crap with you for what? So you can tell a story? You know, if you think it's worth it, that's my story. I'm going to stick to it. Yes, Mary.
I just want to say that going back to the pain question about that, there's a great article as a resource, I'm not sure who said it, but on Time Magazine about understanding pain, and basically that our bodies and our mind gets conditioned to expect the pain. They've proven that we condition ourselves to it. It's fascinating.
Yes. Okay, was there something else?
Yeah, I'm saying, I'm not trying to minimize it, but I'm just saying, I've experienced it, it's powerful.
You just reminded me of one other thing. The opposite of happiness is not unhappiness, but fear. Now, if you have fear of pain, I guarantee you will escalate the pain. Because the apprehension of something happening to you is much, much worse than the physical pain. And you know, there's another thing about pain that's helped me. I'm ready to face the pain and ready to know it for its completeness. Now, that's not because I'm a big strong guy. But, you know, my wife is a nurse. I just had back surgery. It was some tumors that they took off. Everything is fine, right? My wife's a nurse. She said, you better take that medication because when you need it, then you're going to be playing catch up with the pain. So guess what? Guess what smart me does? What do I do? I didn't take the pain pills. And guess what? I never needed them. I didn't even take aspirin. Now, I had knee surgery 20-something years ago. I didn't do it then either, and I didn't have any pain. So, and you know why? It isn't because I'm Superman or that I can do things other people can or can't do. It's because I'm ready to experience fully and completely whatever life gives me. When you're ready for that, it's called being able to cope with whatever happens. If you can cope with it, you've eradicated fear. And if you could cope with something, there's no need for fear. And if you don't have fear, you have less pain. So I mean, those are important points that I think are very, very important for pain. But I'm just, you know, really throwing them at you real fast. Yes, yes. Please.
You mentioned, you used the word judgment.
Yes.
I think part of our problem in our society is that we judge our emotions, okay, as negative versus, as good versus bad.
Yes.
And you mentioned Eckhart Tolle, okay, and he talks about living in the moment. Well, nobody seems to realize that living in the moment sometimes means feeling that pain, or feeling the sadness, or feeling afraid. And I think that's perfectly okay. I think that's what makes us human beings. That's part of our growth experience. Those are growing pains, is owning our emotions. However, if instead, and if you own your emotion, it washes over you, it passes, and it enriches you in the process, okay? Your laughter becomes more buoyant, more boisterous, you gather depth of your spirit. So it's a good thing to acknowledge it, to accept your emotions in the moment. I think that when we label it as unhappiness, I'm sad, therefore I must be an unhappy person, okay? I think that's what veers us away from the concept of we can be happy all the time.
You're absolutely right. Your labels are judgmental. Very, very well done. I think that's great. Yes, sir, but Matt.
Well, I just had a thought on that I do believe that any emotion is valid.
Yes.
But the length of time that we spend on it is often
That's wallowing.
positive. Yes.
I call that wallowing.
Yeah, I mean,
That's
you
not
feel the
Stuck.
emotion, the depth of the
Stuck.
emotion, but then move through it. The people who are able to move
But
past
you
it
follow
faster.
because you're not really fully accepting yourself for having that emotion.
That's an interesting point, I think.
See?
Yeah. See, the faster we,
Instead of letting it
you know,
pass through you.
we take it all in, the faster it passes. It's resistance to things creates more pain. Resistance to pain is a good way to perpetuate pain. Yes, there was another. Yes, sir.
Lionel, how can somebody find happiness if they have a medical challenge, such as being a manic depressive?
Okay.
Or we have a daughter that's going through her change, and it's affecting not only her,
Sure.
but her mother and father.
Sure.
And I don't understand how happiness can come into those situations.
Yeah. I did some work with Dr. Tamron. He runs this is Greenwich, Connecticut. He runs a free group every Friday from 2 to 4 in his home for people not only depressed, but some who are suicidal. And for 6 weeks, I did a program there that transformed a lot of lives. Now, I remember there was a couple who were there because of their child, you know, who had problems. Now, believe it or not, if you're doing everything you can for your child, the only thing extra you could do for your child is be happy. Because that is a lesson in itself for a child.
Or you feel guilty.
Well, see, guilt is a wonderful thing, but it's a pretty senseless emotion that's wasted on, it's like being wealthy and not doing anything with your money and feeling guilty that you're wealthy. It's like every time you eat, you're guilty that people are starving in Africa or something. What is the point of that, really? I'm saying, so maybe the answer to this is take some sort of action, but be happy. Because what do we want most for our kids is to be happy, and the best way to teach them how to be happy is for you to be happy. That's really the big lesson. In fact, I think there's a lot, I really think that's one of the reasons we're here. I'm not going to say it's the whole purpose, end all of life, like my friend Aristotle did, but I think, boy, happiness is pretty powerful stuff because it benefits everyone else. And here's another thing that you may not realize. When you become unhappy, that negatively affects the child.
But Lionel, if you have a bipolar situation, if you don't find the right medicine, there's not much you can do about it. I mean, you were talking about your highs and lows.
I'll tell you what. If you want, after the meeting, because I'm not a psychiatrist or an MD or a doctor, but I'll give you Dr. Tamarin's email. Write to him about this and see what he's got to tell you, because then you'll get it from what I would consider what's the matter now. Dr. Tamarin felt as you did before I knew him a number of years ago, that what could you do? And now he thinks differently. He says, you know what? Happiness may be more powerful than any drug created by man, is how he feels now. So there's an awful lot to what I'm talking about that's extremely powerful. Because don't forget, Deepak Chopra talked a lot about this. When we're talking about happiness, and I'm talking to you about happiness, and I'm happy. In fact, when I'm talking to you, because I feel there's a possibility for your life to change for the better and everyone in your life to be better, and I told you before, I love you. I'm very serious about what I'm saying, and I'm feeling that it's not just my brain talking to you. My brain right now is creating certain serotonin, certain chemicals. I'm not going to CVS with a prescription in my hand. It's just being made in the right doses. It's free. I don't need a copay, nothing. Everything's getting dispensed properly, and that's happiness. There is a book by another psychiatrist. There are very few psychiatrists who think this way. Now, John is not against drugs. He's just very pro-happiness now. Another book called Choice Theory by Dr. William Glasser. He says, according to him, and it's pretty radical, but he's been around, he's retired now, he's been around for 40 years. He's never prescribed drugs for depression, ever. And he's had a huge success. He said that when you act depressed, and there's a way to do that, depressed people know how to do it, and I'm not just joking around, your serotonin level will react in that way and not dispense the serotonin level. Now, if you make that person act happy, get him in that state of mind, the serotonin level shoots up. So nature is just absolutely responding to what you're telling it to do. So I'm telling you, we're more powerful than we have any idea we are. And I mean, I say that in the most loving, humble way I can, because I care. So I pass along to you that there are possibilities that sometimes the simple can have profound effects. Yes?
The mystics said that depression was a spiritual gift because it got you closer to the spirit and to the God of your understanding. The thing we haven't talked about tonight is gratitude. Gratitude is
the most important thing there is. Yeah. Before we talk about gratitude, because thank you for driving that bus perfectly. You guys have been really great. I'm enjoying the ride. You think you're listening to me, right? I'm enjoying this every scene, every single moment. The thing about obstacles is, or depression, or anything bad that happens in our lives, anything at all. I've come to say, if you want to introduce God into the picture, why does he give us tough times? What's wrong with him? What's wrong with her? What's wrong with the universe? And so the answer just might be that if it wasn't for the tough times, we wouldn't be elevating ourselves. If it wasn't for a stairway and the exertion we need to go up every step, we wouldn't be getting higher. And so I've got this theory, and that is that not only in this room, but let's start with this room, the people in this room who I think might have become spiritually evolved, happy, on that quest, have been filled with wisdom that I've been hearing from so many. You know how I think you got there? Through adversity, through tough times. The tougher the times, the smarter you got.
Absolutely.
That's what I think. So I think that's a very important thing. So never knock what other people go through. And sometimes there's a purpose to it that we don't know about. But that doesn't mean That they, in other words, they need to experience what they are experiencing, but that doesn't mean we can't help. Now, helping is a funny thing too, because there was a story about a butterfly where the guy wanted to help the butterfly emerge from a cocoon. Many of you may know that story. And so he pulled, he said, oh, the caterpillar's struggling to, get out of that cocoon. And so he helped him, he unwrapped the cocoon and he set the butterfly free. And the butterfly, climbed down and his wings never opened up. And he died. And the whole point was that if the butterfly didn't exert the energy and the pressure of forcing its way out of the cocoon, that doesn't send the blood vessels to the wings and doesn't develop the wings. So watch how you help people. It's their journey. We're only here, I'm here with you. I'm not ahead of you, I'm not behind you, I'm with you. But I do want to talk about gratitude, because it is absolutely the most important thing about happiness. But yes, ma'am, you have something to say.
Just this week, our minister told me, well, we're not here to get what we want. And I said, okay. She didn't say what we're here for.
What he wants, well, go ahead.
So I don't know how, what do you think about that? Have you heard that? You're not here to get what you want. You're not here on earth to get what you want. What does that make you unhappy?
I would say something to the effect of maybe something Marianne Williamson said, and I can't quote it completely, but who are you not to feel powerful enough to deserve wanting what you want and getting it? In fact, don't you have the faith of a mustard seed to get what you want? Even God said have faith. So what are your ministers telling you don't have faith? I'm a man of faith. I love faith. In fact, I've got some. Here's a great tie-in. This is even better. This is even better than this. You can't top that. Come on, that's really priceless. But it's really a nickel, but it's priceless. Anyway, here's the thing, and I do this when I want God to give me something. We'll talk about God here. I'll talk about God. I say, okay, let's say, all right, I'm getting the tumor checked to make sure it's not cancer, right? So what do? Being a man of happiness and faith, I say to God, God, thank you for not having cancer. I didn't know what the results were. Had to go for an MRI, had to go for a biopsy after it was taken out, and all that, right? But here's the way I look at it, and it seems to work real well for my reality. Because me and God are like this now. We're really friends, let me tell you. Yeah? So what I see doing is when I thank God for having things go the way I want, I figure he's scratching his head saying, wait a minute, I didn't even make up my mind yet, but if he's so determined and grateful for the fact that he's healthy, who am I to get let me help the guy out. I think he deserves it because he is exhibiting faith. And so that's the way I take it. Now, I even went so far, Dr. Bernie Siegel has become a good friend of mine, and he's like one of the first people I answer my newsletter that goes out to 4,500 people around the world. I don't know if he stays up at night on the 1st or the 15th. So I told him I had an operation, and I said, no cancer, everything's fine. That was when I was waiting for the results of the tumors, And when I saw Bernie, because Bernie and I had given a talk at a school about a month ago, I said to him, when I sent you that email that I didn't have cancer, I said, I didn't know I didn't have cancer. He said, that's my boy, that's the way to do it. So, we could be powerful, or we could make believe we're not powerful. You know what? We're powerful when we're happy, and we're damn powerful when we're unhappy. What are you going to choose? That's really the question. And you've got the power to do either one, and you've got unbelievable power. And I think you change the world. You see, you will change your world by being happy, but what you don't realize is how much you can affect the rest of the world by your happiness. Because one happy person could be, and it's scientifically proven, it can be really highly infectious. It's how many people love hanging around depressed, unhappy? Right? You do. You love it.
No, I was gonna say it's I think it comes down to one word also that Kevin said, which is I think it takes courage to choose happiness. And I think when you are faced with something like you were talking about, people are terrified. But I think being courageous is what has a lot to do with having the courage to let yourself or to be happy. I think it takes courage to do that.
That could be. I think it's a matter of what you get yourself used to, too. It's like, okay, I'm here, I'm happy. I'm here, I'm happy. I'm going to stay happy because it's working for me. With cancer, for some reason or another, I had an awful lot of people come into my life, their life, who've had cancer. And they didn't just have a little problem. They had a life and death situation going, where their odds of living were like down in the teens. And, I felt their pain, and I would give them what I had to offer, and I felt that they could make it, and those who I felt could make it have made it. And I've had an awful lot of those situations in my life. So I find that utterly intriguing to me. So who am I when I have to go through it for myself, not to have the same faith in myself? In fact, there was a time, I remember, it's kind of, I don't know why I bring this up, but I was in a private meeting at somebody's house, and the guy got a little ambivalent with me about, Lionel, you could be happy no matter what. Come on, what if you lose this? What if a doctor tells you you've got cancer? You can't tell me you're going to be happy. And I go, well, I can't prove it to you, but point is, why make that an issue? So it wasn't that much longer. It could have been a year, I don't know, but I go to a doctor, and he's doing a skin test on me, and he says, Lionel, I think you really got a problem. I think we got a severe cancer here. So I laughed. I don't think so, but he said, we'll do the biopsy, and I said, okay. So I did the biopsy, I told my wife, she says, oh my, and I said, I'm not really worried. Now, part of this goes to what we were talking about, grieving and stuff. Part of being happy is really fitting in with life. Now, guess what? I got good news and bad news for you. You could be happy for the rest of your life, but you're going to die. Now, actually, that's all good news, but you don't look at it that way. When you make friends with death, when you accept the inevitable, what have you got to be afraid of? Now, here's the other, I'll make this brief because I can go on and on and on, as you know. I only have 3 hours left, so so the point is, in laughing about it, I think you change everything. First of all, God's listening. And here's another thing. Let's say it's really cancer. Right? How do we know laughter didn't change the cells? He got me to read, Bernie got me to read a book called Biology of Belief by Bruce, some of you may know it. Bruce, I forgot his last name. He's a scientist. And your mind is affecting your body. Bruce Lipton, Biology of Belief. And if we don't, again, remember I said to you, it doesn't matter what happens out there. Doctor says I got cancer, fine. What matters? How I control myself, what I say to myself. Now, that's where it all starts. What you're telling yourself is the reality you're living in. How many people, when they go home tonight, are going to trip over their kitchen table or fall over, something you inadvertently left there so that you would forget you had it there and would fall over it. Anybody do that at their home? Purposely, try to trip yourself up in your home. Nobody does that, right? So why with our mind do we clutter it with stuff that we're only going to trip over? You see my point? Why not clear the mind and say, okay, this is what I'm dealing with, and I'm going to deal with whatever it is as it comes along. Because if you deal with it as it comes along, you're dealing with it. And if you're dealing with it, that's all you can do. But the trouble with unhappy people are they're not dealing with anything but their unhappiness, and that's not dealing with the problem. Yeah?
You can't experience the better until you experience the bitter.
Well, I agree. And, as far as I'm concerned, I've told people that I've I've lived in hell, not to be dramatic about it, but, and I don't really ever talk about that. I mean, it's not that terrible, but I've tasted what unhappiness is, what another way of looking at life might be. And I say, look, if for no other reason, why would I want to go there? I mean, fine, I'll have pain. Fine, I can have cancer. Fine, I may die one day. May. I don't know. They haven't done all the research on happiness. The way they're going, I don't know what's going to happen, But the point is, I don't have to succumb to unhappiness because it's not the place I choose to live. I'm not going to live in squalor. I'm not, that's my point. The point is that where we are mentally is where we're living more than, that's why the bigger the house is doesn't mean the more happiness inside for the people. It's just, that's part of life, yes.
This is so perfect because my dad died a month ago, and the thing was, yeah, there was sadness and all this and a couple weeks in the hospital. The thing that was interesting though was I couldn't help also with happy stuff. There were wonderful nurses. I knew he'd lived a good life. He never had to go to a nursing home. There was even a part of me, there was a relief. His problems were over, and
yes.
I felt unsupported sometimes in the mixture of things. I was supposed to be just sad, and I couldn't.
One other important thing, to your point, and it's very, very important, and please follow me on this, because I think it's very important, when something is not good, when it's bad, like death, or somebody does something wrong or evil, whatever way you want to term it, when somebody's doing something wrong, we feel as conscious human beings that we should be unhappy to express the fact that we're not in agreement with them. Same with, it's like going back to forgiveness. The point is, who says that you have to be unhappy to not agree with something? You see my point? So the whole point, and we didn't really get to, because it's amazing for me how fast time goes by and how much I want to convey to you. But here's the point. It doesn't matter whether you agree or disagree violently with something. You could be happy nevertheless. Now, I've been happy, with department store clerks, with airline stewardesses, even in situations where I thought I was right. Now, that was another thing. Now, you could be right or you could be happy. You can't have both. But once you choose happiness, watch how the world changes for you. I remember it was many years ago. My wife and I went down to Florida. We had reservations from a, travel place for a hotel, and we get there, and the woman behind the desk clerk says, "I'm sorry, I don't have your name anywhere." I go, "Oh, no problem. How far away do you live? We'll just come to your house." She laughed her head off, and she's, "Give me a second. We had a beautiful room." We really had the reservations, but wouldn't it be different? Wouldn't it go a little different if I said to her, "Now, 1 second, madam. I have reservations right here, and I want the room right now." "Oh, I'll take care of you, buddy." Right? So, I mean, we don't realize that we're all on the same side, and when we laugh and we here's another way of looking at the whole thing. Imagine if you were going to get what you wanted. Then how would you act? So that's how I live my life. Sometimes I got to wait a long, long time to get what I want. That's okay. Here's another one for you. That my little power tools. I have wants, but I call them preferences. What I mean by that is I prefer to live until I get home tonight, and make it home, right? Now, I'm not demanding it. It's a strong preference. But when it's a demand, then you're like a spoiled child telling the universe, God, whatever, saying, "This is what I want it now, and I want my demands met." And I don't think life is going to give you what you want if you demand it. But if you have a preference for it, in other words, if I get it, great. If I don't get it, great. You came today. If you got a lot out of it, great. If you thought I was shit, great. Guess what? You go home and you're going to be the way, and I go home, I'm happy either way. So I think this is the point. The point is you don't, and as you get older, you can care less about what other people say and do. That doesn't mean that I don't care about you. It just means I don't care about the way you look at things because that's the way you choose to look at things. It's okay with me. I'm not here to be right. I'm here to share. I'm here to love you. I'm here to share my love, and I'm here to say that happiness really, really works. The other thing I strongly suggest is keep coming to meetings. Check out as much as you can on happiness, because there's a wealth of information that's growing. And I'm going to a second World Congress next month in Philadelphia on happiness. I'll meet all of the all-stars there. They're great people, and they all want more happiness for the world, because through happiness, we really are going to change the world. And you're part of that change. I thank you so much for being here.